Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 2, Episode 4 of HBO's The Last of Us, entitled Day 1. So last week I expressed a bit of criticism regarding how I thought Episode 3 was a bit slow, even for an episode that typically follows a landmark one. This week is more of a return to form featuring everything that makes this show great. Amazing visuals, heartfelt, touching moments, and sick action sequences. I'm going to keep coming back to this because I think it matters, but the little bit of criticism that this show received last season was that it didn't have enough action. We're now 4 episodes through this season, and I think we've had 2 of the best action sequences of the entire series in 2 of these 4 episodes. And there's no need to rehash the entire second episode, including what was, for me, the highlight action sequence of Abby being trapped behind that chain link fence. Well, if the fence scene is number 1, I think the subway sequence and everything that kind of like came out of it from this episode is like 1B. But we'll get to that when we get there, because the counterbalance to that high intensity action is the quiet moments, which this episode also crushed. A scene where Ellie sings "Take On Me" I thought was beautiful, and apparently that was actually Bella Ramsey singing and playing the guitar in that scene. And I think it adds to a moment like that when the actor themselves is performing. Adds a bit more authenticity to the scene, which I think in turn gains a little bit more of that audience buy-in. At least it does for me anyway. And my one criticism of this episode is a minor one, a conversation that I think was kind of meant to be like, oh, that's kind of cute. But for me was kind of like, okay, you do it too much now. But aside from that, this is another great episode of a great show. And as it stands right now, I think we're moving along pretty well without Joel. Hey everybody, I just want to take a small break from this review to talk about the various other ways you can engage with me on other platforms. If you're so inclined, and I understand why you wouldn't, I am an acquired taste, but you can join the Patreon where you can get extra content like retro reviews, where I review old shows and movies to see if they still hold up today, Mike's Musings, where I talk about shows I'm watching that I don't cover on the channel, or Mike's VOD, where you can commission me to watch a show, which I will then review on the channel. And if you want to engage with me and chat with me more directly, I also implore you to join the Discord and follow the Facebook page. I set up channels in the Discord for all of us to discuss the shows I'm reviewing on the channel, and I also drop new videos in there since it's the easiest platform for me to share to from my phone. The Facebook can be really fun because I sort of live comment on shows I'm watching, often while under the influence, I'm not going to lie. And I'll also share news there, both about television and film and about myself as well. So if you like my content, you want to be more engaged, you think I'm charming, or you simply want to show support, feel free to sign up for the Patreon or join the Discord or Facebook today. Links to all platforms are in every video description. Remember to share all my shit to your respective social media platforms. And now back to this review. I didn't even talk about this in my little opening spiel, but how about this episode's opening? Like, great opening to this episode, and I love this entire sequence. So we open the episode finally meeting Jeffrey Wright's character, who we learn is named Isaac. It's 2018. It's Seattle. He works for Fedra, and he's in the back of this big police truck, like a wagon almost, with a bunch of other officers. And there's this incredibly douchey fucking guy telling this incredibly douchey fucking story, and this actor does a great job with this character because I instantly knew I wouldn't be able to stand being in the same room as this guy for more than 45 seconds. And this actor, by the way, Josh Peck of Drake and Josh fame, who I did not even initially recognize, because what a wild casting decision and what a story to have a character who comes from that background tell. But anyway, he tells this stupid story revolving around jerking off in the street, and one of the other officers there ask why they call the citizens voters. And Isaac says that the term was given to them, like, ironically, after their right to vote was taken away. And so after that, their truck is forced to stop due to a crowd of people in the street, and they're moving like zombies, which is intentional, but they're just kind of standing around there just blocking traffic. And they turn out to be fireflies. And we come to realize exactly what's going on here when Isaac just exchanges names with the woman who's standing there, and then throws a pair of grenades into the back of the truck, locks the door, effectively killing all of the federal officers there and joining him up with the Fireflies. And he gives the guy who asked him the citizen/voters question an opportunity to make a choice on which side he wants to be on. And we later see that same guy is now Isaac's kind of like right-hand man and loyal sycophant. Present day, Isaac calls the Seraphites scars, which I'm sure probably they all do. It's probably not an Isaac only term. Obviously, due to the scarring on their face, we saw this last week when we were introduced to them. The two groups, the two factions have been warring back and forth for many years to the point where kind of like the start of their warring and the party responsible is either now lost or blurred at best. And when we see Isaac again, he has one of the scars tied up and naked, and he's heating up a copper skillet to torture this guy with. And he wants to know where the scars are going to attack next. And when he gets nothing but a correction on the terminology, like, well, actually, it's the Seraphites, he puts a skillet to this guy's hand. He makes the guy put his hand forward. Like, he doesn't just do it. He says, hold out your hand, and he puts the skillet to this guy's hand. They don't show it, but we hear to scream it. And this guy, despite being naked and cooking on the wrong side of a skillet, remains confident. He tells Isaac that Isaac's going to lose because every day people leave the wolves to join the Seraphites, but never the other way around. And I love the exhibition of like diehard loyalty by this guy. They're truly dedicated to the teachings of this prophet. And I'd love to know more about this prophet, by the way. But so much so, when Isaac approaches this guy to touch the skillet to him again, the guy preemptively extends his hand at him to say, here you go, do your worst because I ain't telling you shit. And to which Isaac responds, I think fairly normally given the circumstances, by simply shooting this guy because all of the fun and effectiveness of the torture has already been taken out with the hand extension. We're the two individuals who's outside is appalled by what he's hearing from inside, and the other guy is the guy from the opening scene who is certain that Isaac is doing the right thing. So on the less torturous side of things, Ellie and Dina arrive in Seattle, and they are raiding a store for supplies. Dina sees something useful off screen that we don't see what it is, but my very intuitive wife immediately deduced that it was probably a pregnancy test. This was based on her saying that she needed to pee when she grabbed it, and then also the vomiting from the previous episode where they found the Seraphites, which of course is adequately covered up by what she saw. So you can be like, okay, she was grossed out by what she saw. So they spot a TV station tower with WLF spray painted on a satellite and decide that that's where they're going to go, but under the cover of night. They crash in a music shop until then, and that's when we have the great scene of Ellie playing the guitar and singing "Take on Me." After this scene, we move to the scenes of Isaac torturing that Seraphite that I just talked about. And then when we rejoin Ellie and Dina, they're breaking into the TV station. So they find the bodies of dead wolves that are hanging in like a circular pattern from the ceiling. When they enter, either killed. I mean, we're all left to assume that they're killed by Seraphites, but they might have been killed by Seraphites, or they might have been killed by someone who wanted the wolves to believe that they were killed by Seraphites. You've seen the meme. But they leave a message reading, "Feel her love" on the wall in blood, which is meant to at least signal the prophet. Not signal, but signify that they're representing the prophet, a.k.a. being the Seraphites. Also, fun fact, I learned during the post-show that the bodies hanging were actual humans and not like dummies or CGI. Well, they could still be dumb, but like I said, dummies or CGI or anything like that. Just actual humans up there. And that's cool, because like, that's an unnecessary level of authenticity. Like, you didn't even see him close up enough really to be like, hey, that might be a fake person. Like, I don't even think they needed to do real humans. It could have been fake, but hey, whatever. And so other wolves conveniently arrive at this moment and discover the bodies, and then they decide to fan out and search to see if the perpetrators were still there. And the coincidence of them arriving at the same time as Ellie and Dina was a bit much for me, but just a little minor thing that made me go, I don't know if I like that. That's what I do when I see something on TV I don't like. I don't know how I feel about that. And this leads to the great sequence of scenes that I mentioned earlier at the top about the chase through the subway. So Dina and Ellie crawl into a subway and hide, but as the wolves arrive, the flares that they throw, they tickle the tendrils underneath one of the train cars and signal some clickers to that location. And I love the scenes of the train and how they steadily escalated with the clickers like banging on the windows. Then the one gets inside, that Ellie closed the door right in front of. Then Dina and Ellie are like moving through train cars. It's almost like the train is like compacting, like the windows are getting tighter because there's so many bodies up against them. And then they narrowly escape out of the roof, only to get seemingly stymied by a turnstile. Like, can you imagine surviving everything the two of them have survived, only to have your story end in a fucking turnstile? But Ellie gets through, and Dina is about to be bitten, but Ellie sacrifices her own arm to be bitten in order to save Dina. And once safe, this leads to another great scene. And I love how they quickly build up to this. of Dina holding Ellie at gunpoint, assuming she's going to have to kill her because she doesn't know that Ellie is immune. And I love this scene because the viewer is kind of like instantly flooded with a number of thoughts and emotions. Like you're first like, oh shit, Dina's about to die. And then Ellie saves her and you're like, okay, well that works because she's immune, right? I get it. But then you see how Dina's looking at her and shit. You're like, oh my God. Does she not know that Ellie is immune? And then once Dina pulls the gun out, you quickly come to understand that Dina has no reason to believe that Ellie is immune other than her just innate desire to not kill her friend and future lover. And Ellie does a great job of like pleading her case though, leading to Dina's revelation that she's pregnant, and then a nice little, make out session, finger bang, nothing crazy. That probably escalated far beyond just the finger bang though. So my other minor criticism of this episode is in the following scene when they wake up the next morning. This is a moment where I thought the way the conversation went was a bit implausible and a bit too much. Like I always liked you from Dina, and my mother forced me to choose boys. Perfectly fine, no problems with that. What I didn't like was Ellie's instant escalation of we're gonna have a baby and I'm gonna be a father. Like, for starters, in the last episode, Dina was like, you're gay, I'm not. Let's talk about kissing. And Ellie was like, you were drunk or whatever, it didn't mean shit. That was in the last episode. Now she's like, we're gonna have a baby and I'm gonna be a father. And like now they're like finally honest about their feelings, and they have sex presumably for the first time, and now they're just gonna raise Jesse's baby as a family without even, she's already like, I'm gonna be a father without even, because Jesse ain't even there. So like that's just a implausible level of escalation to me just after the first time you had sex, but whatever. Then also, I feel like they kind of lean into like, look how open we are to different types of families. And like, that's why it felt like implausible escalation, because they likely just, when I say they, I mean like the people behind the show, seemed like they might have been a bit too eager to like pander and virtue signal. And like, here's the thing, I don't have a problem with the content, for what it is. Like, I fully and wholeheartedly support different relationships and families. Like, I don't give a fuck who you love. It has nothing to do with my dick. I've always been an ardent supporter of the LGBT community, and that's with both my vote and my physical presence at rallies and protests in their support. So it's not that I have a problem with hey, we're gonna be a 2-woman family and we're gonna raise this kid. What I'm not a supporter of is kind of like fucking up a narrative and make me go, that feels implausible, just in order to pander to a community that wasn't asking for this in the first fucking place. Like, I don't know if that part is in the game or not, but if it's not, and this is unique to the show, then that just proves my point. They were just like, yeah, let's just put something in to like, to cater to the vocal minority. And like, again, I don't care if you do that, but it just kind of pulled me out of the episode because of it felt like a forced escalation that was implausible. Like, she just immediately pulled her fingers out and was like, all right, we're gonna be a family now. Like, that's not how it works, man. Like, motherfuckers out here being a family of 14. But anyway, the episode ends with them seeing explosions in the distance and deciding to go after Abby together. So, like, yeah, aside from a couple of minor quibbles, I think this is a return to form for, like I said, what's a really great show. So, beauty, emotion, excitement, violence, all in one episode. Like, I mean, they knocked it out of the park with this one. Really great one. So let me know what you thought in the comments. And until next week, peace.